Wow, this forest is incredible, and I bet whoever built this is going to get loads of subscribers on YouTube. Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 4 from the Hitchhikers SMP. It's good to see you. But seriously, you should subscribe for more forest. Now, in the previous episode of Hitchhikers, I talked about how I want to build a little fantasy town, and I thought it would look really good right there across the lake. Unfortunately, though, I don't really have a good way to get there. I've got this little bridge that I marked out, but then we just have the default forest biome over here, and the hills are kind of weirdly shaped, and then we have this really annoying aquifer that cuts through here. So I think to kick this episode off, we're gonna do a little bit of terrain work, clear out these trees, smooth these hills out a little bit, get rid of this awkward water that's right there, and then probably put our little bridge in. So let's get to work. I know what you're thinking. The time-lapse footage looked a little off, and that's because the first half of it got corrupted, so we didn't get to see the trees getting chopped down. But we've got a beautiful, nice area to work with here, and we should be able to put a nice path in going to the village. But first, we're going to focus on making this bridge a little bridgier. First thing we're going to do is actually get the overall shape of the bridge in, and we're just going to use stone to kind of make a canvas to work off of. And then we can take a step back, take a look. I think it might be one block too high. And did that fix it? Yeah, I think it did. I think that looks a lot better. All right, now for the fun part. Going back and adding in all the little details and texture. I really want to try and utilize all these fancy new tough blocks that we have. I think I actually want where you're walking to be one block lower than this, so that this block here kind of acts like the rail of the bridge. I'm kind of thinking making this a wooden pathway up here, using just a bunch of different kinds of wood. The important thing to remember is that this is supposed to be a pretty old bridge, and so we want to make sure that we add lots of age using things like mossy cobblestone and bricks. But after a little bit of time and work, we've got ourselves a lovely little stone bridge. Look how cute this thing is. It's adorable. We've got our deep slate and our tough, our mossy cobble and bricks. I think it looks really cool. We got a nice little design right there using some of the tough blocks. Oh, isn't that cool? I really like those blocks. Those are really cool. Then I came back in and added in some trap doors to our little path here to make it look a little bit rougher, as this is supposed to kind of be a main road that runs through the forest. It's just people don't like to go in there because it's dark and scary. But it looks pretty beat up, so I think I got the effect I was going for. So now I think it's time we extend this path all the way to where the village is going to be. Now, the key to making any path interesting is to have it kind of meander around the place rather than just going in a straight line from A to B. And it just kind of makes you wander the area a little bit more, and it adds just a little bit of interest. See, we just got this little bit of a curve right here, and then it kind of straightens up a little bit more before curving again. And using like landmarks like this little divot right here kind of help guide your path into a little bit more of a natural shape. Now I've stopped the path here because we're getting pretty close to where the village is going to be, and I don't actually want to continue with this normal path block. I want to have a more of a stone mixture for paths inside the village itself. And I'd love to get started on the village right now, but I'm kind of dwindling on a few basic materials, namely things like packed mud, wheat, sugarcane, maybe some bamboo. And in the previous Hitchhikers episode, we did manage to build up one farm, which was our moss farm. And it has since then been pranked by Curtis. When I turned the farm on last, I got splashed with poison. There's a few other pressure plates that weren't here before. Yep. Okay. This one too? Yep. Okay. Nice. Okay. Thanks, Curtis. Joke's on you, Curtis, because I get free dispensers. Poison pranking aside, I think this area would be really cool to just build a bunch of little starter farms in. It could be like our own little wizard's laboratory down here, and I just think that's like the coolest thing ever. So if we just dig out a little bit of space, we should be able to fit these little farms in here. And even though the candles add some nice mood lighting, I am going to put a few torches in down here just so you guys can see a little bit better. And we might as well use some signs to kind of mark out what we're putting where. So right here will be our mud farm. Right here, I think we can fit in a little fern farm. We can put a sugarcane farm there. And then we can use this big back wall for some bamboo. Well, now that we know where all the farms are going to go, let's get to digging. I think the first farm we're going to build is the sugar one, which I've moved over to here instead of having right there because there's a little bit more space over here to work with. And I've done a bunch of these before, so that's why I'm doing it first. But I'm going to just use hoppers rather than a minecart like I normally do because I've got mud, which isn't a full block. And if we throw just some dirt on there, it actually gets picked up by the hoppers. And I'm actually making this a double sugarcane farm. So we have another one just tucked in right here behind the front one. So we get twice as much sugarcane as we normally would, which is super awesome. But just like that, we've got a double sugarcane farm. And I'm actually just going to cover this up with stone. So we're not going to get to look at all the pretty redstone that I did, which is totally fine. But this should yield us plenty of sugarcane, and the best part is it's passive, so I don't even have to do anything. And I think the next farm I'm going to do is the bamboo one, and it's more or less going to be the same farm, just for bamboo. And there we go, a nice stone box. With our two bamboo farms, it's already growing. Basically, whenever one of these shoots on either end, that's how both farms work. Whenever they grow in front of the observers, it fires the pistons, and then we get all of our bamboo collected down here in these chests. Ooh, I got some diorite too. So now I can just cover these up and forget about them. Whoa, wait. You're in the torch. Okay, now I can forget about it. So now I just have the mud farm and the fern farm, and I'm going to have to watch a few tutorials on how to do those because I have no idea how to do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those in and show you them when they're done. All right, everyone, it's been a minute. I've done a little bit of decorating after building the farms, but I've got my fern farm installed here, and I've gotten a few ferns from it already. It's pretty simple. You just place it here, the observer sees them, it bone meals them, you break them with some shears, and then boom, you get more ferns. And then over here we have an Il Mango designed mud farm here. You just place dirt, this gives you more dirt, you break it after it turns into mud, and it goes down in this chest. And it's real cool, it's real simple. There'll be a link in the description if you want to watch the video on how to build it yourself. Now, the only farm I need now is a wheat farm. Okay, I'm going back down into the dungeon where it's safe. Dawn will take you all! Anyway, as I was saying, we need a wheat farm, and I want to have all my crops up here in their own little spot and just kind of vibing out. I might just build another temporary one for the moment though, because I'm kind of thinking a greenhouse up here would be kind of cool. And like we have like this whole kind of lore going on of how the townspeople are scared of this monolith because of the kooky wizard that lives up here. But I just like the idea of the kooky wizard's just like tending to his crops and doing a little bit of light gardening all day. And he's just like super chill because well, the wizard's me and I'm super chill and I would love to just garden all day. But I can't, so we're just going to do it in Minecraft instead. So I'm going to go ahead and plant myself some wheat. You guys are going to watch a little bit of a puppet show that I put on during a Hitchhikers Saturday live stream. I hope you enjoy. It was incredibly stupid, but I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, take it away.
All right. Okay. What do I call this play? Oh, I got it. Okay. Introducing Longbow with his play about the explosive goat. Hold that. All right.
No, I'm good. I'm an audience.
Hey there, Mr. Magma Cube. Have you heard about the madman who likes to blow things up? Oh, I know, I haven't. What about him? Well, he's been running around town and causing absolute chaos because he just keeps blowing things up. Oh no, here he comes!
Whoa, this is intense. So moving.
It's in the theater.
Oh, it didn't light it. Hang on, 1 second. We try again.
Wait, what? Hold on!
Ah!
I'm tapped out! I was watching it through OBS.
That's been the explosive goat.
Hold on, I'm gonna switch over.
Oh my goodness, really? Up here in my garden? I just finished this. Go away. I don't want any bandits in my garden. I can't even speak. You guys got me all flustered. Oh goodness. Go away. No bandits in the garden. My goodness. These neighbors are just terrible. Anyway, aren't I a genius? That play was an absolute blast. I bet you didn't know I was such a phenomenal actor, did you? Acting aside though, we've got ourselves a few crop fields. We got some carrots and potatoes over here, and we've got some wheat over here, which is just about ready to harvest. And I went through and kind of spammed moss everywhere because moss is lovely. The grass color doesn't quite work, but it's fine. It's fine. I think I need to mow a little bit. It's a little high in some places, but I finally got a path going to my nether portal, and it links all the way down to the front of the monolith, which is very, very cool. But even though this is nice and cozy, it is temporary, as we're going to be doing a big terraforming project in the near future that's probably going to cut through right about here, just like straight line, just right here. And that's going to mess things up a little bit, but this is temporary after all, and we're going to probably be building a greenhouse out here to house all of our crops and things inside of. But that's a project for another time. For now, I want to get started on the town. But of course, that means we're going to need a ton of materials, and you all know what that means. It's time for a good old-fashioned material gathering montage. Take it away, me. You got it, past me. Now, I'm not actually going to talk about what I gathered on this material gathering montage because you can just see it on screen, like these mushrooms, for example. An interesting fact about mushrooms, did you know they're actually more closely related to humans than they are other plants? That's a fact. That's a legit fact. Go look it up on the internet. And I'm sorry if I ruined mushrooms for some of you, except I'm not, because I hate mushrooms. They're gross, they're slimy, they have a weird texture, and I absolutely hate it, except looking at them. I think they're really cool to look at. Oh, I'm out of time. But looky here, we should have plenty of materials. In fact, I've probably collected way too many. But regardless, it should be enough to get started on this first structure for our new town. And we're just going to go ahead and hop straight into a time lapse, but I'm going to do things a little differently than normal. Normally, I just kind of go in, start building, play some soft music, do some really nice, calm, relaxing moments. But instead, we're going to speed things up just a little bit, and I'm actually going to talk you through the build process. And to get ourselves started, I decided to go ahead and clear away a little bit of the hill just because I thought it was a little high off the lake. And the thing to note when I tend to build structures, especially when I wing them like I did this one, is I build the basic shape and kind of think of it as a canvas with just the base blocks put in first, just to kind of have a little bit of an easier time putting the build itself together, and then I can go back in and texture later. But we've got a pretty nice looking build here with a nice Tudor style with some spruce wood and bone blocks, and then I decided to use some mangrove wood for the actual roof itself, and I added in this extra little dormer bit type thing on the front just to break up the shape of the roof a little bit. Then I also added in this double wheel water wheel. I don't know exactly what they're called because we're building a mill of sorts, but then I can start the texture, and I'm going for a bit of like a shadowy technique. It's more of shading than texture, using the deep slate and the tuff to kind of cast shadows on the stone. And then I can go in and add a bunch of little details like fence gates, beef out my corners before texturing the Tudor style walls, using light grade concrete powder and mushroom stem on the plaster and stripped dark oak and mangrove on the spruce wood to give it a nice shadowy look. And I think it turned out pretty good. I also made some corbels underneath the roof itself, which I then got to texturing using some netherrack and a red terracotta. I also added in these 3 windows out the front just to make it look a little bit more interesting. But with that, the build is pretty much done. It just needs a few more finishing details like some banners hanging out of the windows. And then if we put a boat right next to this little retaining wall and then plant some berries, we've got a little box of berries. And then of course we got to add some bushes because bushes are cool. Maybe a couple of roses. Trying to bring in some of the red colors to tie in with the roof color. Could probably pillar up here. Have a couple of banners hanging out of this window as well. Now I might be adding something onto this side, like a little shed or something, but I'm not quite sure as of yet. So for now, more bushes. And here's a cool building hack for you. You can do this using a resource pack. I gotta get rid of this berry bush, I'm sorry. But if you want to not have all of the dirt showing on your hills and make them look more like rolling hills with lots of grass, you can just put in some moss on the edge and it just kind of looks like grass. This works better in plains more so than anywhere else, but it's a pretty cool effect. So I'm just going to go in and add in a couple of moss blocks around the area here. I'm not going to go too crazy yet because we have a whole town that's going to go in here, and this will probably change in the future. But for now, I want everything to look nice and pretty, so we're just going to go ahead and add this in. And of course, every village needs some nice stone paths, so we're going to put one in here using some cobblestone, andesite, and gravel. Something like this. I might tweak this in the future, but for now, we have a nice little path that leads up to our mill. And I think all that's left is to kind of go in and add just a little bit of grass in some places. Not too much because we're in the middle of town, but just a few places. Add in a little bit of grass just to get a little bit more fluff in the area. And of course, our building needs a little bit of light. So I'm kind of thinking if we have like a little crane of sorts, just maybe with a fence gate there, a fence there, something like that. It doesn't quite all connect, but I think this could work. Chains and a lantern. And there we go. We got a cute little light hanging in front of the window. Now, last thing I think this build needs is, of course, a tree. Because what else would I build, right? Kind of thinking we could put a little tree in right here using some sandstone walls and birch fences. And we'll probably just use some birch leaves and make like a little fluffy birch tree. Just something simple like this, and eventually once I add on this little shed type structure in the future, and we get this red roof color behind it, it'll look even better. But for now, I think that'll work. Now, while I was doing all that detailing, you may have seen this row of signs that wraps all the way around the building, and that's just to add a little bit more detail right here at this base to that kind of Tudor effect that we're going for. But I had one slight problem with this, and that's that entities don't render from very far away in Minecraft. So I got a mod that allows them to render a little further away, and over here at the monolith, I can see the signs. They're a little bit glitchy if you zoom in, but you still get that little bit of detail, and it just makes the view that much better. I also added in this chimney right here. I think it needs a little bit more work on the texture, but I think it's pretty cool and adds some nice little bit of movement to the build. And I also detailed my water wheel. I added in some stairs and trapdoors to make it look like it has places where it can actually grab the water. I added in some more moss and things down here by the water just to get a little bit more of that kind of moisture area going. And I tried to make a little bit of like a shine, like the wheel's a bit wet right here. I'm not quite sure if I pulled it off. Really hard to texture with just spruce wood using stairs and slabs. But I think it works. I'm gonna let it sit for now, but I think I'm happy with it. But I'm pretty happy with what we managed to get done this episode. We got a bridge put in, we built some cool farms, and of course we got started on our new town. But unfortunately, that's all I've got time for today. So if you did enjoy the video, maybe hit the like button and consider subscribing if you are brand new. And I will catch you all in the next episode. See ya!